Booking your visit can feel like a big first step, especially if you've never experienced nervous system based chiropractic before. So, today I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens when you come to see us so you can feel confident and at ease. Welcome to Healing Beyond the Symptoms, the podcast that helps people discover the root causes of their health struggles and take back control with science, strategy, and self awareness. I'm Dr. Leah Hahn, a chiropractor and functional wellness doctor who believes that true healing starts beneath the surface. So let's dive in. So the first step is actually scheduling your appointment. Most patients begin through our website at bodyandbalancechiropractic.com or calling the office and speaking with one of our front office team members. You'll be welcomed by a warm team who will guide you through the simple next steps. Even in that first call, we want to learn about you. We want to know why you're calling us and what your specific needs are. Already, you're not just a number. You're seen, you're heard, and you're cared for. The next step is actually coming into the office for your consultation and exam. There's paperwork that will go through your health history. We want to know about any specific physical, mental, emotional, chemical stresses that you've experienced throughout your life. You'll sit down with one of our doctors for a full conversation about your health history, your stress, your lifestyle, as well as your goals. We're going to also ask you, how can we meet your expectations? What is it that you're really wanting to achieve, especially when it comes to regulating or reorganizing how your nervous system functions? This is about connecting the dots. It's not a rushed process. We're going to ask questions, and we want to leave time for you to ask questions as well. It's important to realize that you are an active player in this process. We really care about your goals and needs, and so we want you to really think about that before you come in so you're prepared to have that conversation. And again, so we best know how to meet your specific needs. Then we do a gentle but a detailed exam of your nervous system. We're going to look at things like your heart rate variability. The heart rate variability test is a non-invasive test, but it's actually measuring the time in between your heart rate or heartbeats. When this is happening, we're actually gathering data on whether your system is stuck in a fight or flight side of physiology, or maybe parasympathetic side of physiology, or maybe it's balanced, but we're gathering that data as a piece of the puzzle of what's happening within your nervous system. We're going to look at surface EMG tests or electromyography tests that are going to tell us how the muscles around the spine are functioning. Are they balanced? Are they imbalanced? Is one side way more overactive than the other? Maybe the scan shows that it's split between the two, meaning muscles are pulling on one side of the neck and the opposite side of the lower back. But that patterning is going to be critical for us to understand what's happening within your spine. We're also going to look at thermography scans or spinal thermography scans that show us patterns of inflammation or patterns of heat around the spine, another important component of understanding the function of the nervous system. When all of those tests, or maybe as well as like the history, are giving us information that x-rays may be important, we may take those as well with a clinical decision and as well as your consent. All of that information is combined. Every piece of the puzzle matters, from the consultation, all of the components of the exam, to really get a thorough picture of what's happening within your body. It's important to realize on this first visit, we typically don't adjust you. And the reason that is we want to thoroughly analyze the data before we make those specific first adjustments. It's also a day about understanding what your goals are and what your needs are. All of the information is put together in a way to best serve you. The next visit is actually called our report of findings visit. At your second visit, we'll review everything that we have found. At this point, Dr. Scott and I have reviewed all of your tests. We've put all of that information together, and we have an idea of what our clinical recommendations would be to best meet your goals. But then when we actually sit down with you, we're going to explain everything that we see, clearly, transparently, and without jargon. You'll receive a personalized care plan designed for your body, as well as your goals, and that's really key. You'll have the chance to ask questions, get clarity, and decide whether to move forward. There's no pressure, there's no scare tactics, just honest recommendations and options. So, the next step is beginning the healing process. If you choose to begin, we're going to start with your first gentle chiropractic session right at that time, or you can schedule it for the next day or what works for your schedule. When you are at a chiropractic office, this is different than being at a doctor's office where you may disrobe into a gown. In a chiropractic visit, you're going to stay fully clothed. You'll be lying comfortably on a table where we'll be, again, now getting a whole nother layer of information by analyzing your spine through touch, through specific parameters that we are looking at. And then we'll begin the process of the adjustment, which is very specific, light contacts along the spine used to signal your nervous system. Many patients are surprised and they'll say that was so gentle, but they can actually feel their body let go. Over time, those sessions help to release stress, build resiliency, reorganize how the nervous system is patterned, and shift your body out of survival mode. After each of these gentle sessions, it's important to realize that the nervous system is going to continue processing that information for a few hours. Patients ask me all the time, is it okay if I go and work out or take a walk? I typically will recommend that they do the things that they are used to doing. It's not a time when the nervous system is learning new information to do a brand new workout or do something super challenging. It's important to honor the body's need for healing and rest. It doesn't mean that they can't work out. It just means that they need to do something that they're a little bit more familiar with. There are so many clients who have come into our office that have said that, wow, this actually feels like home. So many patients have had the experience of going into a doctor's office where they were just asked for their insurance card and maybe they were told to sit down and wait. The experience of Body and Balance should be very different than that. We really connect with our clients. We care about them very deeply. And when we start that process, we really want to get to know you, but we also want to make you comfortable throughout the entire process. That comes with knowledge. It comes from meeting our team, but it also comes from the type of environment that we've created, which is very soothing and very healing environment. I can think of one patient in particular that came into our office that had had an experience at a medical doctor's office that was very frightening and very traumatizing. And when he first came into our office, he was full of worries of what would happen. He was so worried that he was going to have surgery for his spine, and he had really lost that sense of mind-body connection and awareness. So what had left him with a sense of anxiety and fear and almost just like a low level of constant trauma that was running through his nervous system. When he came into our office, he was really surprised by how warm everything was and how friendly our team was. But even through the first exam process and going through the process of seeing his exam findings, what his report was is, wow, I actually feel understood. I feel heard. I feel like I have options when it comes to my healthcare, my spine, and I actually have hope. I know that there's alternatives. I don't maybe have to go down the surgery path. I can really work on healing. When he received his first adjustment, he actually told me that he was a little skeptical because it was so gentle. He said, I feel more relaxed, but was that because I was laying on the table or was it because of what you were doing? Well, when he went home, he noticed that the pain had shifted completely in his hip. So instead of feeling this constant, right, intense hip pain, he actually had a kind of a band of tension throughout his lower back, but it was real kind of low line and just a kind of steady, but not really intense. But by the second and third adjustment, that tension was dissipating. By the following week, he was walking normally. He was having a healthy gait and his posture was shifting. By the first month, he had that mind-body connection that was so much more peaceful and restored. So these are the kinds of things that we're looking for, but it all starts by scheduling that first appointment, going through the process of the exam and the consultation so we can learn about you, and then creating a plan that's going to work to really meet your needs and your goals. We want to meet those expectations. I also want to address the fact that there are different types of chiropractic. If you've had the type of experience with chiropractic where there was cracking and popping, that may be right for some people, but network spinal is a very gentle, very specific form of chiropractic. There is no popping and cracking. We look at the entire system, how the entire system is functioning, how it's holding stress and tension. We do this through the variety of tests that I talked about, but also through analysis of very specific factors in your spine that give us information and feedback about how your body has dealt with trauma in the past. As we go through this whole experience, it is again very gentle. So, we want to make sure that you understand that if you've had different types of experiences with chiropractic or you've had different types of techniques, it doesn't mean that those things don't work, but this is a very specifically designed system that's really working to heal and reorganize your nervous system. We always think of it as you are patterned and those patterns can change. You're not broken. It's how do we help your body work more efficiently so that it can repattern itself and really go into healing mode as well. I want to give you some tactical takeaways from today's episode. Booking your first visit does not have to be scary. It's simple and it's a supportive process. When you come into the office, realize that you will be heard, you will be seen, you will be recognized. We want you to fill out that paperwork ahead of time so when you get into the office, we can just focus on you and we can get started with figuring out what needs to happen to really best facilitate your healing process. The first visit is really about listening and learning. It's not about rushing into the adjustment process. We want you to feel comfortable with us, and we want to make sure that you are, again, very well understood in what your goals and expectations are for healing. Transparency, choice, and safety are at the heart of everything we do. We want to be well informed about you, your health history. We want our exam process to give us full information about the things that are needed to best support your healing. So, in terms of that, we don't rush into anything and we want you to fully understand what our procedures and process look like. It's a time to ask questions, a time to be fully informed, but also just a time to get to know us so that we are a good partnership and team in terms of the healing process as well. Thanks for joining me today on Healing Beyond the Symptoms. If you've been curious about what it would look like to begin care, I hope this episode gave you peace of mind and clarity. You can book your first visit at bodyandbalancechiropractic.com or give us a call at our office. And for more daily insights, follow me on Instagram at Body and Balance Wellness Center. Until next time, breathe deep, listen in, and remember, the first step toward healing is often the hardest, but it's also the most empowering. Thanks again for joining me today on Healing Beyond the Symptoms. If you've been curious about Network Spinal, or if you've tried everything else and still feel stuck, I want you to know this. Your body is not broken. It's patterned, and those patterns can change. If you're ready to experience how gentle care can lead to profound transformation, I'd love to invite you to book a wellness consultation at bodyandbalancechiropractic.com. Together, we'll look at what your body needs to finally release, reset, and thrive. Until next time, breathe deep, trust your body, and remember, gentle can be powerful.